Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, Blockbuster versus local video stores.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
This topic, we have a little story to tell.
This topic is not the topic that was presented to us.
Yes, James Chenault.
Hi, James.
Hello, James. Suggested Blockbuster Video versus Hollywood Video. To which you said...
To which I said, I don't know what Hollywood Video is. To which you said, no, it's going to be great. And I went, Hal, we can't do a binary choice if I literally don't know what one of the two things is.
And so we've changed it. We've amended it.
Yes.
I do want to touch on
it is a fascinating story. You filled me in on what Hollywood Video was.
Yes.
Which was basically...
It was a competitor. It was very similar.
It was a much smaller competitor that...
It was number 2.
Right.
It was number 2 to Blockbuster's number 1. But what we're going to be discussing today is Blockbuster Video versus local, like, homegrown video stores.
Which is an interesting, I think it's going to bring up things that can be said about a lot of big industries.
Yes.
Whether it's grocery stores or bookshops or in this case, Blockbuster versus small and local. Generally, I'm a person that I try to go local. Like I would tend to want to err on the side of visiting my local place that is owned within the community, run by people in the community, maybe has some, different things, but the prices might be more expensive, but it might have other things that I can't get at the big chain version. Right. Now I'm just speaking generally as far as a chain store versus a local store goes. Sure. And in that regard, I am generally going to err on the side of a local business or try to if I can.
You're a shop local guy.
I'd like to be. I don't always. There are a lot of days when I'm like, oh, screw it. If I go to Target, I only have to stop once.
Exactly. Like,
you know what I mean?
There is a convenience to things. At this point, I just want to touch briefly before we get to local video stores about Blockbuster in Hollywood. Hollywood was the number 2 company behind Blockbuster.
Okay.
And there was a lawsuit in 1995. Some employees of Blockbuster went to work at Hollywood Video, and Blockbuster sued Hollywood Video for $10 million, saying that they had hired these people away to try and get some of Blockbuster's trade secrets. I have no idea what those secrets could have been.
How many people are we talking here?
It was not that many people.
Because if it was like a half a dozen people and they all went and they got jobs from Blockbuster over to Hollywood Video and Hollywood, or even if it was 10 people.
Yeah.
And Blockbuster was like, those people are worth $10 million. Then those 10 people should have been like, oh, really, Blockbuster?
Exactly.
You've been paying me minimum wage this whole time, but I'm worth $1 million to you.
And they may have been up in the corporate structure, but even then, right. if you are not getting your...
it was not like line level. It was like CEO
sure.
level they stole.
But either way, you could, I mean, if it's at a higher level, you would think they would have the presence of mind to say you can't. Part of your contract is
you can't give away
divulge
trade
your secrets when you go somewhere else.
I guess I don't know why in my mind I just assume Blockbuster employee,
but like 3
line
checkout
level,
people?
like the checkout person. Like, how are they going to give away trade secrets?
So this is 1995. Flash forward to 2005. Hollywood Video is not doing well. Blockbuster attempts a hostile takeover. Hollywood winds up selling itself to the number 3 competitor who snaps them up.
Movie Gallery.
Which is Movie Gallery.
We did, I think, have a Movie Gallery somewhere. We may have had a Hollywood Video
number
in town.
3.
I just never...
You just never went there.
Yeah. Everything was Blockbuster.
Generally, you would go to Blockbuster over Hollywood. First of all, Blockbuster versus Hollywood Video. More Blockbusters. Hollywood Video felt like a pale imitation of Blockbuster. It's Blockbuster. So they sell themselves. This is in 2005. 5 years after this, Hollywood Video's out of business. 1 year after that, Blockbuster's out of business.
So why all the hullabaloo?
It's crazy. It blows my mind. I sent you like texts that when I typed them in didn't seem as long as they did when I received it.
Yeah.
I felt bad immediately, but I also just wanted to get all this out.
Ding, ding, ding. There goes my phone again.
It was.
Well, at least you did it in the afternoon.
It's just crazy to me to think about the battle that took place. But 5 years before the industry basically was wiped out by Netflix, who, and that's like Blockbuster's folly that Netflix offered themselves to Blockbuster for purchase. Blockbuster's like, this is never going to work. And by the time they tried to pivot, it was too late. And they missed out on everything. Yeah.
Most forward thinking of them was Netflix, because I remember, as Blockbuster's still around,
right,
that DVDs, you started doing the mail order DVDs coming in. And you could get, I was like, what is this thing? It's like Columbia House for DVDs. And I don't know. You get it. It comes in a couple of days. You get your DVD, then you send it back. And it was a cool idea. And then I saw an interview with the CEO years later, and he was talking about when they were introducing their online subscription service. And someone asked him, they're like, wait, but what about the DVDs? And he said, guys, our business is not called DVDs by mail. It's called Netflix. The DVDs were always just going to be a stopgap measure.
Yeah.
That was just to get our name out there until we could launch the actual online video thing. The company predated the technology, but they knew the technology was coming. I feel like Blockbuster is like the coal mines of the entertainment industry, going, no, guys, rent DVDs, get videos, get videos and DVDs. And everyone else in the world is saying, that's not where the future is.
Yeah, Netflix was a disruptor for sure. They came in and said, we're going to change the way everybody's doing everything. We're going to do it efficiently, because other people are trying to do the same thing. And now there's stuff like,
but they even did the fact that they did it before the technology existed.
Sure.
And figured out a stopgap to get their name out there is crazy to me.
Brilliant. It's brilliant business.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what's good about Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
Blockbuster took what was working well at a local level, and there were local chains. There was Movies Unlimited in the Philadelphia area, which I think was Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York.
Right.
And they operated not only a big store that I always enjoyed, like walking through the maze of, which we'll talk about later, but catalog. Like at that point, it was catalog. You would order from a catalog and get the videos brought in.
Oh, really?
Rent. If they didn't have it in the store. Blockbuster had everything all the time, and it was family friendly. It didn't have that room that you had to worry about your little boy or girl, your young child wandering into.
Yeah, past the curtain.
To all of a sudden see a version of Zorro that we're going to talk about next week.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you ever walk past that section in your local? Because I know I've mentioned one of the movies from walking past that section at my local. I know I mentioned one of the movies because somebody found the poster for it. But this was in the 80s at a time when I was a kid in the 80s at a time when, for anybody that doesn't know, we're talking about the porno section.
Yes.
There was always like parody names. And I just remember the first two that I saw the poster for, and it was hilarious. Regarding Heine and Crocodile Blondie.
Oh, God. I saw one for a movie called Titanic.
Oh, that's so good.
But, as time went by, the family aspect of Blockbuster became a big deal, because you would go to a local store. Yeah. There was a local video store not far from the house my parents have that I would say the front third of it was general rentals that anybody could walk around in.
Porno
and
rooms
then the back end was all adult, the back 2/3 was all adult content. So really it was like, it almost felt like a speakeasy. Like you're not there to rent the last unicorn.
Right.
You're there to rent the last uniporn, which is a couple shelves away.
I guess I never really thought about the fact that because I never went in them, because by the time I, was a teenager, everything was Blockbuster. And Gemstone Video, which was my local, shout out to Gemstone, was amazing. And I'm not certain they had, if they did, maybe it was it Gemstone that I was so little when I walked past these two posters and was like, oh, those are pretty funny. I don't remember if it was at Gemstone, but I remember that if there was one, it was not large. But I do know that I have seen the video stores where you're like, this is a giant colorful room in the back with, what is happening back there?
And why did my high school teacher just come out of there?
Yeah.
And why is he covering his face with his hand? Hey, Mr. Simpson.
Hal, hey, sorry, I was just renting The Last Unicorn.
Oh, I think you're in the wrong room. I have all the copies of it right here.
Oh, okay. I guess I'll just take yours up to the, oh God, they got switched. Yeah, that's a really good point. And also, along with Blockbuster being family friendly, which was great, I think two big things that it had going for it. As a person who loves movies, but does not like being talked down to about movies.
Right.
Blockbuster was the movie store for movie fans.
Right.
And like fans of movies. And the local video store was the place for fans of movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it could be intimidating going into a local because like you would have the guy behind the counter who would roll your eyes at whatever you selected. Or if you asked for something popular would be like, no, it's out. Which leads me to my other thing that I think Blockbuster has over a local is that they were never out. I remember nowadays,
rare.
It's unfathomable. Now I sound like such an old man. I'm like, all right, all you younger millennials out there, take it from a zennial. There was a time when a new movie came out to rent on Friday, right? Was it Friday or Tuesdays that they came out?
Tuesdays.
A new movie would come out to rent, but we would always rent them on Fridays because it would be like a weekend thing.
Yeah.
Whatever the new movie that came out to rent was, let's say you want to get Jurassic Park. If you go to your video store and someone has rented Jurassic Park, you don't get to watch Jurassic Park.
That's right.
The idea of the movie running out.
Mm-hmm.
Now with digital copies, everything is infinitely repeatable and streamable, but yeah, like you just didn't get to watch that movie. You had to go get your second choice.
Yeah.
But Blockbuster, what they would do brilliantly in my neighborhood, and it was one of the reasons I think that their movie selection was not as dense, was they would take an entire wall and the whole wall would be copies of Jurassic Park. And you'd walk up to the wall and you'd look and you'd see if the wall was flush or you'd see if there was one that was sticking out a little bit. That meant it had a VHS copy of the movie behind it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was another benefit of Blockbuster. I will say the porn room, the smug employees, and the not always having a movie that you want. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the list of cons, and it's very short. I feel like a local video store has way more pros than cons.
I also think my experience has been that a Blockbuster is way more there from a merchandising standpoint. Mm-hmm. Your ability to, and just the way that the stores are put together, it's way easier to find what you need. You start, the new releases are around the border of the store. They go from A to Z. Then each aisle, you have your sections. Almost every home video store I went to that was a local store was like a maze. And you weren't quite sure where you were looking or what you were looking for where.
Are you saying that's a bad thing or a good thing?
I'm saying that's a con. I want to be, for Blockbuster, it's a pro. I want to be able to go.
You want a user interface.
Yeah, look, there are times where you go in and you don't know what you want to do. And I remember Jennifer and I in the early days of our dating, in like 2005, 2006, we would go to Blockbuster to pick movies and we'd just be walking around and we'd see who got what. And that was enjoyable, but I also felt a sense that I knew where to look. If I was feeling like a comedy, I knew where to go, as opposed to sort of being lost. And then for new releases, we might find a movie that was new that we weren't really aware of just by walking around the wall. That was like the way you did it. You went all the way around
walk
once,
around the wall.
And then you look in the aisles to see, maybe I want to watch something a little older, watch something again. And that is a huge plus. They really did. One of the great things about a Target or a Walmart is that they're laid out pretty much the same. You know where to go to get the groceries. You know where the clothes are. You know where the toys are. They are similar to one another. It's like the same thing.
By the way, I assume those are the three sections that you go to in Target.
Where?
Groceries, clothing, and toys.
I will go to
That's
groceries.
kind of the needs
toys.
of life.
Where else do I go? Actually, I love their cleaning products. I like cleaning products.
Sure.
My three places are.
Sure, they got the good method stuff. Yeah.
Toiletries, cleaning products, and I will look around the toys and video games, but I won't buy anything.
Oh, see, I go straight to like board games, knickknacks, like I love all that stuff. Like you like all the practical stuff there. I go after I get the practical stuff. Then I also go after the real garbage.
I did buy a porg puppet at Galaxy's Edge.
There you go.
So I don't always, although even that was like a measured.
Did you stand in line at Galaxy's Edge to do like the whole droid thing? And
no,
all
I'm
that
going
stuff?
on Sunday and I think I'm going to do it then.
Go
We're going to be there when the park opens.
Go well before the park opens.
Well before the park opens?
Well before. And when you get to the gate, run. Because I found this out.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge, the park opened at 8:00 in the morning. 2 days ago was the first day that it was without people.
Well, no, they have the boarding groups.
Without the reservations. And it was at capacity at 8:20.
Yes, I know it was. People were still getting in and out though. By the end of the day, even by midday, the wait for Smuggler's Run, which is sort of how you figure it out, was like 50 minutes.
Oh, okay. But that's because they won't let people into that land.
That's possible. We'll see. Look, anyway. if I don't get it this time, I'll go another time.
Anyone who's going to Disneyland soon, first of all, Galaxy's Edge is amazing.
It is amazing.
And wonderful.
Yes.
And I was very glad I managed to sneak in. But
the same day that we were there.
The same day that you were there, yeah. When we went to go see
we saw
go see Magical Map.
The one with the Mickey chasing a butthole on the map. I'm sorry. It was a lovely, the performers were all great.
All right. The show Mickey's Magical Map, Mickey and the Magical Map or Mickey's Magical Map? I don't remember.
It might be Mickey and the Magical Map. I'm not sure.
It's Mickey Mouse chasing a big black dot.
Because the missing part of the map.
It's the missing part of the map.
He's the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
He's the Sorcerer's Apprentice. He has a map, and there's a space on the map that is missing, which it shows up in the form of a little hole in the map that bounces around. And Hal referred to that show as Mickey and the Magical Bouncing Butthole, and now it's all I can think about.
It is. He's like, let me fill you up. Oh, like it just looks like a butthole. And it's a lovely family-friendly show. There's no inference, but sometimes you get like an idea in your head. You're like, this is kind of what it looks like. And then the whole show all seems to bend to your will around that concept.
But Hal, we're not here to talk about buttholes.
No, we're not.
We're here to talk about video stores.
Yeah. Yeah. Blockbuster. When it first opened,
I do like that layout. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying before that there was like West Coast Video was popular. That was like the big chain in the Philadelphia area. Mm-hmm. And
is that where you're from?
Oh yeah, I hadn't mentioned it. Oh, do you know the kind of food we like there, or about the sports? I'm happy to talk about it. If you want to just ditch
Let's talk about the video stores. We'll do that as soon as we're done recording. I'm sure.
It felt at that point that felt like the big this is the big juggernaut that's come in, and then Blockbuster shows up and West Coast Video disappeared.
Yeah. I don't think we had West Coast Video. It was Gemstone in my neighborhood. I think we had a movie gallery, but that always felt like a mom and pop to me, honestly.
And we didn't have that. We didn't have movie gallery.
Maybe I'm not thinking movie gallery because Gemstone felt like a mom and pop. From the time I was little, that was my neighborhood go to, like, to the point where, and this is why I think that for me that the local is going to win, because I don't remember much about my Blockbuster. I don't remember much specificity. I do remember that, like, very specific. You walk around the outside and you look at all the new releases, and the smaller movies they'd have like one copy of mixed in with this big collection of all the big stuff. And then, decent sized horror and comedy and all that.
Yeah.
But at the local, it was like, I knew the comedy section of my local video store. I knew where things were. I knew which video boxes were ripped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were videos that I would rent. Brandon and I would go and rent, moron movies probably once a month. Mm-hmm. And behind the counter, they'd look at us like, you clowns. There was something magical about that. In general, I think there's something magical about walking around a video store and having all of this artwork tactile and in front of you. For some reason, I remember always being obsessed with, but never watching because I was scared as a kid. And also it just wasn't like gore and stuff wasn't really my genre, but I loved the visual of the horror section.
All the boxes
of horror. Like, horror movies had the best cover art.
I want to talk more about this, but I also want to take a break. We're about halfway through.
Okay.
So let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk more about local movie places.
Great.
I listen to Reading Glasses because Bria and Mallory have great tips.
You're a comics reader and you want to use a library-connected app. You can try out Hoopla.
I listen for the author interviews.
I'm mad at myself that I waited as long as I did to start reading Joan Didion.
They give me reading advice I didn't even know I needed.
If you go in person to an event and go up to an author or a filmmaker or anybody and tell them what you don't like about their work, you're a trash baby.
Look, I understand you didn't like Heroes Season 3. That's fine. I don't actually need to know that information. I'm Bria Grant.
And I'm Mallory O'Mara. We're Reading Glasses, and we solve all your bookish problems. Every Thursday on Maximum Fun.
Welcome back to WKEP at Night. Up next, looks like we've got a PSA from local forest ranger Duck Newton.
Do I start now, or?
Yeah, lean in, Duck.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I wanted to address the unfortunate situation that... Okay, listen, two people, good people that I and a lot of y'all have known our whole lives are dead. Torn to shreds by...
A savage, bloodthirsty beast that defies human comprehension. If you'd like to know more, stop by the Cryptonomica, Kepler's premier museum of the macabre, just off Highway 20.
Come on. We just wanted to warn y'all, to beg you. If you see one of those things out in the forest, don't fight. Don't scream. Run. Run as far as you can.
Doc, it's almost midnight. Listen, folks, if you see anything, please go to thelamplighter.org and let us know. And get behind a locked door tonight.
Anything else we need to... Oh, they're leaving. Okay, well, that's thelamplighter.org, and stay safe out there, Kepler.
Okay, so you were talking about the horror films, and that leads me to one of the things. So, Blockbuster, for all of its pros, it has a very sterile...
Yeah.
Everything branded towards Blockbuster. All the signs look like Blockbuster signs. When you go to a local place, there are sometimes handwritten, like one of the kids does art. So it's like the horror feels like horror. The comedy feels like comedy. The drama, the classics. There's a personality to that, the advertising.
Right. There's was it New Art? The New Art is one of the great, or Cinephile. Which one's the theater? There's a theater and there's
New Art is a theater.
New Art's the theater. Cinephile's the video store connected to the theater.
Okay.
That's one of maybe LA's greatest. Still in existence. Is it still in existence?
I'm not sure, because Vidiots was also
right
a
there,
big
right?
one, but that's closed.
Oh, Vidiots
that one's in my neighborhood in like Santa Monica, but they've closed. That's like a Aldi now or something.
This one was next to the New Art. Cinephile was next to the New Art, and they would come up with not only cool artwork for each section, but crazy sections. Like, I think the best video stores or video rental places. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to hold that. I'm going to hold that thought. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. They had crazy sections in Cinephile. One of them was shade tipping.
What?
Shade tipping.
Like the ones where
it was all the movies where the video box had someone dipping their sunglasses down.
Oh, so like Risky Business was in that
Risky
section?
Business.
Secret of My Success.
Sidekicks was on there. Like Doc Hollywood. It's all movies where people are tipping their shades.
That's right. That's the one where he's got the Secret of My Success is him on top of a champagne bottle that's
of course
been popped. He's laying on top of the plume of foam that's shooting out of a champagne bottle.
So I love, it's those local, real tactile human touches that make it what it is.
They also will have whatever promotional stuff. Like there was one in Huntington Valley. I cannot remember the name of it, but when Crocodile Dundee, either 1 or 2 came out, they put out
Dundee, not Blondie.
Dundee. The front of store version. Right. They received a raft that was a crocodile that they hung from the ceiling. So all of that stuff, that promotional stuff, I guess, I don't think Blockbuster got it, but at that point the industry was, your local store, they would try to get you to buy them. You'd buy the movie for $100 or more. And then you'd make it back.
They were always so expensive? Oh,
because they would make it back by renting it out. If you rent it out, it pays for itself over time, and then eventually it becomes a profit center. So, but I think, they would get these promotional things like, hey, you really want copies of this movie, so we're going to send you swag. And you were more likely to see that out on display in those the
cool local spots.
Yeah. Along with more cardboard standees than you should have.
Did your neighborhood store, did they have a policy for the 'cause we were the kind of kids that loved big cardboard standees and movie posters. Did they have a policy for how they got rid of their movie posters?
They would sell them. We
they sold them.
Yeah, I think we bought one for $20, or maybe they gave it to us. I bet my father will remember, and I cannot remember what movie it was, but I do remember it being, I think at some point we put it out in our family room for a little while. And then I think that was maybe before we had a flood that put 4 feet of water in the basement. So that cardboard was done.
Which movie was it? You don't remember what movie it was?
Don't remember what movie it was.
We had a couple of standees. Because we used to
Crocodile Standee?
Crocodile Standee. That was in the back of the video store. We had in our local, you could either ask about the posters.
Right.
And they would, if there was one that was particularly coveted, you would ask them and they'd set one aside for you. Otherwise they would just take them, roll them up and put them in a bin and you could just grab them and go.
Oh.
Yeah. They just had a big bucket of them at the front of the store and you just take them with you. And as far as the cardboard standees go, the big things, cause they wanted to get rid of them as badly as we nerdy kids wanted them for our homes.
Yeah.
You would just go up and you would write your name and your phone number on the back.
Oh, okay.
And we did that for a couple of them. I remember Brandon got a few. We had for some reason, we had the big standee for the movie Mr. Wrong. So I had in my basement growing up, like a 4-foot Bill Pullman dipping Ellen DeGeneres in a wedding dress.
And you felt like you had to have it.
And I was like, well, I think it was just like, it was at a point where like, cause they were free, like whatever standees they had, we were like, yeah, sure, I'll take that one. And a couple of the ones we had hanging on the wall, in the basement when I was a kid. We had that Gerard Depardieu movie where he's like, you're not going to date my daughter. Like one of those movies.
Oh yeah. With Katherine Heigl as his daughter.
Was that Katherine Heigl?
Yeah.
But like all of these like insane, we had so many movie posters. My brother's entire room, entire closet, was just lined. He lined the whole thing with movie posters. Our basement, we lined I mean, like, I'm not talking like hung them next to each other. I mean, wallpaper. Like tiles, like they were wallpaper.
Wow.
And it was all just from going to the local and grabbing posters out of the bin. Sometimes you wouldn't even know what it was. You just grab a poster and you'd get home and you'd be like, oh, great. Stuart Little.
The only thing I have that's like that is, I have a silk hanger because they would have those sort of printed silks they would put up on the wall, for Back to the Future from its original home video run. I have one of those. I think my mom or my dad got it for me because they knew it was my favorite movie.
There you go.
But my dad had some relationship with the local video store owner so that when Return of the Jedi was out on video, my dad like bought one and brought it home. So it was like, we were not renting it. We own this now.
Like the one that would have cost the store $100.
Yeah. Like we own Return of the Jedi now. Is
that a fun conversation to have? Hal, we own this.
This is ours now.
But father, when must we return it to the store? No, Hal. You don't understand.
But the late fees. There are so many late fees.
There are no late fees in ownership, Hal. Read this book.
Ownership?
It's called Ownership. This is a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'd like you to read this.
Oh, my goodness. I could be making so much money right now. If I only buy all these Rich Dad, Poor Dad products, I'll be the rich dad.
Yeah. By the way, anybody that hasn't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the whole book is, you should probably get rich. Heard real estate's a good way to do that. You should probably do that. Great. Thanks, book.
It's easy. Lamb, the one thing that we're not going to run out of.
Yeah, that's the whole first chapter.
Buy a whole state and then flip it. Just flip homes. That's how you make money. Just flip it. Anybody can do it. Just buy a house. It's really easy.
Look, there's a couple of states that I think we should probably flip.
Minimal work.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're making so much money. You're living on a boat.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's multi-level marketing. Use these essential oils.
Oh, boy.
I do like the essential oils, though.
I like essential oils, too. But I'll get them in the store. Thank you.
Oh, no, you got to get the I've been sucked in. I'm like, you got to get the ones that are like edible grade. And then my brain went, shut up, dummy. You're not eating them.
Yeah. Why?
And then I went,
edible grade?
Though I do have the Soda Stream.
Yeah.
1 drop of essential oil in it. You're inventing your own LaCroix flavors and you're saving a lot of money.
Can't you just get extract? Or do you getting something that you also, because essential oil, I see you've got the diffuser in there going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh no, I'm hook, line, and sinker.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have like a bunch of those oils, like for the diffuser, like 12.
Yeah.
Jennifer got into it for a brief,
they're great.
For a brief shining moment.
One shining moment.
And now we have all these. We break it out sometimes.
Yeah.
It is nice.
It's nice. They're nice. They smell good.
I don't want to drink any of them.
Yeah, well, you don't have to. I'm doing it for you.
I don't even, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, you know.
You're a true soldier of America.
Just pour extracts in there. What am I going to have? Vanilla flavored LaCroix? I mean, I don't hate the idea.
Yeah.
I don't hate the idea of vanilla LaCroix. Vanilla Croix.
Tea tree oil LaCroix.
Yeah. Not? Thieves LaCroix.
Thieves LaCroix.
We're not here to talk about LaCroix, Hal. We're here to talk about video stores. I feel like
I wish I could get more snacks at a movie. That was one thing about Blockbuster that kind of blew my mind. It was like, oh, you get a popcorn bucket that you can microwave, or you can get all my movie treats are here.
Yeah, for the same price as the movie treats.
I know.
And also, the Blockbuster was adjacent to the grocery store.
When you're younger, you don't think of that stuff.
You don't go, oh, you know what? If I walk literally 100 feet, I will be able to buy a 10-pack of popcorn bags for the microwave for $1.50.
Didn't think about it.
Or if I buy it here at the checkout at Blockbuster
for $5
for one.
But it's the whole bucket.
Yeah. They also did have some candy there that they didn't have everywhere else. Like I did love the chocolate chip cookie dough balls with the chocolate covered chocolate chip cookie dough balls.
Yeah, those are great.
Delicious.
It did feel like they really wanted to make you feel like you were going to the movies.
Yeah.
Whereas most video rental places, like you said, there was a place called TLA Video that felt like that was where you rented like movies about the ballet.
Yeah. And you're like, all right.
Everything that's
Johnny Smuggo. Just let me get a copy of I couldn't think of a terrible movie fast enough. Damn it.
Now I can rent Last Tango in Paris.
Yeah.
I can rent all the movies that are on PBS during a pledge drive. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
I don't like having to go to multiple places to get different things.
Yeah. I liked if there's a genre that I particularly like, for me, it was comedy as a kid. Mm-hmm. My local always had a vastly larger selection though.
Okay.
So like for the horror buffs, they had some deep dive horror stuff. Mm-hmm. For the comedy buffs, like Blockbuster would have Airplane. My local would have Kentucky Fried Movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And then horror Blockbuster has like Exorcist and The Omen. And then you can get like Microwave Massacre at your local place.
Exactly. So the locals always had the crazier stuff.
Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah. Like I said, the video boxes for the horror movies were insane.
Chud.
In the 80s, it was always just like an idyllic Norman Rockwell image, but with everybody's just a skull. And you're like, oh God.
Yeah, there were always like the shot, like those killers on those boxes had the cleanest knives you've ever seen.
They did.
The way the light hit them.
Yeah. Well, they were all very well lit.
For sure.
Which is why I love the new Child's Play ad, because it looks like an old school 80s Child's Play ad.
Yeah, they really leaned into the nostalgia of it.
Let me ask you this. Do you prefer video boxes flat front or spine front bookshelf style? Because flat front means you can see all the cover art and it's a lot easier to look at what's going on. Spine front means they can fit a heck of a lot more videos.
I want face front.
Yeah,
I want to be able to see it. And there's also like a halfway where they're kind of at an angle. You can fit more of them in that way. I felt like that was more what I would see at a local place. Although now, every once in a while, like Idlewild, we found a video rental place. There is one remaining Blockbuster
in Alaska,
in the world. It's in Alaska. Yeah. It's still operating.
Well, the Wi-Fi's pretty terrible there, I imagine.
Yeah.
Harder to get Netflix.
And I think there's a Hollywood Video somewhere in Canada. Like they're still there and they hate each other so much.
Those two buildings.
They just send each other middle fingers by mail.
By mail.
Yeah. But I did notice it's weird now that there are DVDs. Mm-hmm. Doesn't feel the same to me.
I know.
Because we're generally not using DVD players anymore.
Yeah, when I want to play a DVD, I actually have to take the DVD player out. Like it's an active thing.
Yeah, ours is the PlayStation, so that's good. But all my DVDs, I have a huge DVD, like over maybe like 1,100 discs, something like that.
Lord.
And they're in binders. And the binders are in a cabinet right under my television.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very rare. Like I've been rebuilt. So I had a huge VHS collection. Then I rebuilt it in DVD and went a step further because new stuff was coming out. Then now it's digital. And I'm like reassembling the collection,
of course,
on Apple TV.
I'm gonna call Jen and say she should probably get on you to just get rid of all those DVDs. Then
don't, please. It's not happening. She keeps saying, I'm like, no. I
had a feeling this had already happened.
When I can replace it, and I still have the features because I love the commentaries and stuff.
Sure.
When those are out in digital, then I will gladly me getting rid of all the boxes and going to binders was a huge deal. And a massive project. Because it was something the size of
11,
like maybe halfway of your stove to this corner, a bookshelf loaded, and then another 2 that had discs in them. And then I had to take every single one and organize them and put them in.
I did that with my CDs. I digitized all my CDs and then just took I took a rope. I put all of my CDs on a rope, tied the other end of it. So it was just this big loop, like a key ring, but with just hundreds of CDs on it. And I took them to Universal Studios where I was working at the time. And I set them in the break room and I wrote a little Post-it note that said free CDs. And by the end of the day, it was an empty rope.
Wow.
Yeah. That was amazing. How I got rid of all of my CDs.
Good job.
Yeah. I think there were not an empty rope entirely because the rope was empty because it had been, undone and people had slid CDs off of it. But there were a few discs just laying around that people were like, no, thank you. This is garbage.
What did people not take?
I don't think anyone took Color Me Bad.
Oh.
I know.
They're going to sex
you up. It was my first CD.
Tick tock, keep up, you don't stop. Tick tock to the hot.
What do we think it is, Hal? Is it the local? It's got to be the local.
I don't know.
There's like weird smells and all. It's the local,
it does
man.
Smell weird,
but
a lot of that is the.
Look, I know that, and the thing about part of the thing about Blockbuster. You said Blockbuster was sterile. I think the movie selection was pretty sterile too,
but also dependable.
Yes, dependable, but like, I don't know. For me, it's. I told you I had 3 very small cons
and cheaper
about it.
For somebody who wants to save money on candy, you sure were willing to splurge on.
There's no way going into this. I was like, and I'm still thinking there's no way that Blockbuster can beat a local store.
I'm just saying if you're gonna worry about the cost of the candy, you should also think about the cost of the movie you're renting.
Okay.
You generally got more nights and better deals at a Blockbuster. I just want to point that out.
I'd like to point out that you are in this moment advocating against your community and for a company that tried to sue and do a hostile takeover of their competitor.
And they failed. And then they were like, it was because of antitrust. They were going to hit us for antitrust because they would have had over 50% of the home rental market.
Right.
After the acquisition.
Right. But you know what they didn't have? That well-worn copy of Moron Movies. They didn't have
really hanging your hat on that Moron Movies.
A section called Shade Tippin'. They didn't have hand-drawn section names for horror, comedy, drama. They didn't have staff picks.
That's not true. They did.
My Blockbuster didn't have staff picks.
They did.
Yours did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
But I mean, the local always has staff picks and a good rotation of staff picks. Mm-hmm. And for as smug as local video store people can be sometimes they were actually friendly and would help you find a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way for me that it's Blockbuster.
I was just pointing, first of all, I'm not advocating for Blockbuster. I'm just pointing out.
Yeah, sure there, Walmart.
Be aware.
In this episode, you've advocated for.
I haven't advocated.
Blockbuster, Target, and Walmart.
I'm just pointing out why they are successful.
Yes.
And why it is more difficult for a local store to survive.
And we each have our own persnictions and I realize that yours are like, yeah, it's clean and tidy and efficient and the thing that I need is there and it's cheaper.
Well, I don't like that it's sterile. I don't like it. And it's been so long since I've gone to, it's been like 13, 14 years since I've gone and rented a movie from someplace. Now when I go in just to like, it's like visiting a museum.
Yeah.
And remember it like, I was alive and active when this was a thing. Mm-hmm. And it was a very brief window. I mean, it wasn't like long. There was like a 30-year window when these stores were thriving. And really,
Not
it's
even that
a
long.
20 to 25 year window.
Yeah. Even Blockbuster would have been what, late 80s to late 90s?
Yes. But I mean, just home video
just home video in general,
rentals
yeah.
in general as a big business,
As an industry.
where you could make a lot of money. But I wouldn't go into, if there was a Blockbuster, I wouldn't go in. I'm not interested. I know what they all look like. They're all the same. I'm much more interested in going and visiting a local mom and pop shop. So I will agree with you that it is the local shop, but not for the very personal reasons you state.
Well, it's just, for me, it seems like the difference between going into an Apple store and going into the groovy old shop where Bastian bought the Never-Ending Story book. You know what I mean? Those are the extreme versions of it. Both have their merits.
I'm not as romantic about it as you are.
Yeah, I guess I am. I do have romantic notions of what an old video store have. Well, I loved spending so much time in that back 2/3.
Where's Mark? He's going to be late for his own 7th birthday party.
He always does this.
He comes out with the hypnotist eyes.
Oh my God. I was pretty savvy by 7.
Look, what's great about a local video store and any kind of local store is we all have a tie to whatever our local store was.
Yeah.
There's memory there. It feels like a part of the community instead of an interloper that came in and offered something perhaps better that you gravitated towards. Like, look, I stopped going to local stores when Blockbuster showed up because it was cheaper, and I knew they would have what I needed when I went there. When I decided in college to go through AFI's top 100 movies from 100 to 1 and just rent them 3 at a time, I knew they'd all be at Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be easy. I knew there would likely be multiple copies of them there, so I wouldn't have to worry about the one copy being taken out. That being said, there's something very attractive and enjoyable, and there are still movie rental places around, and they're local stores, so they have survived. I don't think they're thriving necessarily, but
they're attached to something else, like next door to UCB East, God rest its soul, in New York was there's a Two Boots Pizza, but the Two Boots Pizza is also attached to a groovy video DVD, or maybe it's just the Two Boots itself. Like, maybe it used to be that, and then the Two Boots came in, and now it's mostly a Two Boots, but they still have this massive DVD collection that you can still rent the DVDs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Which is kind of a cool, let's piggyback on another business. Businesses piggyback on each other on the way in and on the way out, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And what's interesting about it, it just jumped out of my head.
No, sorry.
I can't even remember. That's okay. That's all right. Oh no, the ones I've seen have been independent. Like, there are still independent ones that are operating too.
Oh yeah, there's no because
I know what I was going to say. I remembered. Don't edit any of this out, Ken. If you want to rent movies now, go to your local library. They have a really good, not only that, but they also have a streaming service called Canopy. That's fantastic.
I just got my library card to the Burbank Library renewed 2 weeks ago.
Well, for free, you can go to Canopy and rent through Apple TV or through maybe through smart television. Also, I don't know if a smart television has it, but
Canopy,
you can sort of watch a certain number of movies per month, and it's free.
Look at that.
That's how Jennifer and I watched The Conversation.
Boom.
There you go. People of the world, local video stores, asked and answered.
That's
Quick
right.
one.
Yeah. This topic is closed, but there are many more to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets. Check out the Maximum Fun subreddit or
email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com. Go to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/WeGotThisPodcast. Tell us a fun story about your local video place. We want to hear about it. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thank you to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, our listeners, for giving me a chance to sit down with Hal, stand on each other's shoulders, put on a trench coat, and sneak into that back 2/3 of the video store. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Audience supported.